evening, dear viewer. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Millennium Tonight program. Tonight we have a special edition of the program. Thank you so much to everybody that's tuned in to the Top Study Coder channel 95, and of course we're also streaming live as usual on Facebook. It's Millennium TV Zambia. I'm your host, Given Banda. Tonight on the program we host New Era Democratic Party leader, President Situmbeko, to help me discuss democracy and the opposition. And remember, our dear viewer, as usual on the program, we'll get to open our phone line so that you can be a part of the conversation. And also, you can also continue sending in your text messages on the same number that will be displaying on the screen shortly. But in the meantime, you can follow through the conversation live on Facebook and leave a comment in the comment box, and also follow us live on the Top Study Coder channel 95. President Situmbeko joins me live from California this evening, like I mentioned, to discuss democracy and the opposition. Madam President, it's a pleasure to host you. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
How are you doing this evening? All right, we're hoping our technical team can work on sound so that we can hear Madam President clearly. But to kickstart our conversation this evening, Madam President, let's start by discussing your party, which is the New Era Democratic Party, before we can touch on other issues affecting our country, of course. Tell us more about the idea behind, the formation of the New Era Democratic Party.
So thank you very much. So the idea behind the formation of the New Era Democratic Party is, after looking at the political scene, we have a situation in our country where marginalized people, they are not able to participate in politics. So marginalized people, specifically women and youth, their participation in the Zambia political scene is minimal. So I started as a human rights activist, so advocating for the downtrodden, marginalized, and then, one thing led to another. I think it's destiny. The idea came to say, why not participate at a larger scale and speak for the marginalized women and youth and men. So basically, that's what we are all about.
Groups in our society, which are the women, the youths, and you've also mentioned the men. But I also look into, also incorporate another, marginalized group, which is the persons with disabilities.
Of course, yes. So marginalized includes everyone. So marginalized and vulnerable. So even if I don't mention specific groups, they are all included in part of our program. Our program is to give a platform, an opportunity to everyone. You don't need to have money. All you need to have is the voice to speak, the will to be patriotic. You are welcome in New Era as long as you are a Zambian and you are patriotic enough to speak for Zambia and make Zambia a better country for all of us.
Just from your own analysis, when you look at the current political landscape in Zambia at the moment, what do you think you as the opposition, what do you think your role is as the opposition, just to help the current government, implement various policies and also address various challenges that the country is facing? And do you think you're doing enough as the opposition currently?
Yes. So currently, they are really trying. I run a Facebook page called Ubuntu Forum, and I've been speaking, offering checks and balances to this government for almost 2 years. I campaigned for government in 2021. I had an organization where we had over 100 election observers throughout Zambia to help monitor the elections. But this government is not a listening government. myself as a founder of that NGO, which had observers throughout the country, they have never reached out to me to even thank me. And even when they formed government, they have never reached out to me of the many issues that we have talked about. So I think it is very difficult for the opposition in this country to do their role because we don't have a listening government. Immediately we offer them or say something, we get attacked. On my page, the popularly known as praise singers go into the comment attacking people for just expressing an opinion. And I want to say that Zambia has reached the lowest in terms of democracy since the 60 years of independence. I campaigned for UPND and had never seen so much animosity on social media that we are seeing today, to a point where people are even scared to comment on my page. So this is an opportunity to challenge the ruling government to say, we are not your enemies. We are not. Zambia is our baby, and it's our responsibility for all of us to raise this baby well. We are not here to fight, no. We just want a better Zambia.
The conversation really from the opposition has been about the shrinking democratic space in the country. Just recently, we heard from the Minister of Internal Security, Jack Mwimbu, affirm government's commitment to embrace, the opposition, and he assured that this government is committed to ensure that the democratic space is conducive for the opposition. Your reaction to those sentiments by the minister?
Anyway, all I can say is we are tired of lip service, Mr. Minister, sir. We are tired. You cannot be saying A and doing B. And we know that when they say all these things, they are speaking to the gallery. They are speaking to the international world to think that Zambia things are okay when they are doing the opposite. For example, the latest situation we have with honorable member of Petauke, J.J. Banda. He was abducted. He mentioned abductors. No one has been able to, the police have not gone to follow up or apprehend those people who abducted him. But instead, from the abduction, JJ is being given a charge retroactively, new evidence coming up just by the order of the president calling him is a thug on a press briefing. So we are in trouble. That's why we have to speak up. Every Zambia is a democracy. We are not going to allow a government to practice lip service, say something and do something else. We are tired.
We've been told that there are investigations currently going on, and it doesn't mean that the police and government have put aside the issue of the abduction and focusing on the cases that, or the crimes that were committed 15 years ago, but the case is actively being investigated on.
Well, for me as a human rights activist, I am worried about the health of our honorable member of parliament. As you know, a member of parliament is a high profile person, is not an ordinary person. He's supposed to have some form of immunity. We have seen his health has gone bad. So why can't the police let this man recover before they start arresting him from a case of 8 years ago? This is inhumane. This is their own son they are doing this to. As mothers, into this world, it is paining us to see the injustice. No one deserves to be treated like that. The people who killed people in Gassing, they are walking straight, they are sleeping in their beds. We have people who died during. Have we seen anybody being arrested for killing? Nomba uyayisundira omuntu mukanwa, yes, ali musundira, but tafwa. And there is a law. Zambia, we have laws. Let us follow the laws of the land. We cannot just be acting because of political vendetta or whatever reason, for our son, who is a minister of, who is an honorable member of parliament, to be subjected to that torture. And lastly, my comment on this JJ Banda thing is that, you know what, it is the fault of the Zambian government to allow criminals to be voted into parliament. What should happen is, if someone has a criminal record, they should be disqualified from running from any public office. You cannot punish someone because of the laws allowed him to be elected into parliament. It doesn't work like that.
Honorable JJ Banda should have been barred from contesting as a member of parliament from Petauke, owing to the fact that he had cases previously.
Anyone, not only him. So the fact that the law allowed him to stand, despite those criminal cases in the past, why should he be subjected to retroactive justice? Because that were closed. Because you know that in most of these countries, if you have a criminal record, you cannot even get a job. Whether the case is closed or open, there are certain jobs you get them, especially public office. So my point is, we should not punish JJ because the system that we have allowed him to stand. And now we have the president calling him a thug, and which all the people, all the police force judicial on the president's word.
The issue of your role as the opposition in Zambia, you have been urged by this government to offer credible checks and balances, and urged to refrain from issuing a mediocre statement. Case in point is what we saw happening previously at a rally that was held, where we heard the former president, issuing certain statements that have become, that were under public scrutiny and have been criticized by the current government. What do you make of the nature of the checks and balances that you are?
You know, it's kind of funny because it's like UPND and PF, they have this thing going on. It's like cat and mouse, you know? So me, I can just advise these two factions, PF and UPND, to mend their fences. So we move on. We have 20 million people to take care of. Calling each other names, what not, ways which are not presidential. They will not put food on the table for the Zambians. Twani papata, bury your hatchets. Bury your hatchet. We have 20 million people to take care of. We have a drought. We have 6 million threatened to starve. We have a hunger crisis. All those are the things we should be addressing, not having a press conferences to bash each other. Eh? We are grown. Myself, I'm a grandmother. I have to lead by example. So imagine the current government, since they are in government, they have the instruments of power. Let them be the bigger person and lead by example, not to complain about what PF is doing. PF was kicked out because of those behaviors. So you come to power and start doing the same behaviors. You think Zambians will tolerate that? That's why even New Era was formed, because I campaigned for UPND, hoping we are going to see change. Eh? So now we are here again. I'm like, what is this now? We are back to even worse than where we started from.
The issue of the New Dawn government, Madam President, referring to the Patriotic Front and the mistakes that they made, the argument there from the UPND is that we have to refer to the past in order for us to understand where we are coming from. And we've heard a lot of government officials and just UPND members allude to the fact that we are where we are now because of where we are coming from, the debt that was accumulated by the previous regime. So it's not possible to discuss development or where we are going without referring to what happened in the previous regime.
Yes. They can refer what happened to the previous regime. That there's nothing wrong with that. But what about them? They have a 10-point plan which they promised Zambians, and they have failed to deliver. That's why we Zambians are angry. Every Zambian right now is angry with New Dawn government because they had a 10-point plan which they promised Zambians. But look at what they have done. For example, a simple thing like giving licenses to youths for mining, and also they ask youths to form cooperatives. How many youths have been given mining licenses? And how many youths have been given funded for a cooperative? But if instead we are here now, the country is on fire because there is a Vietnamese who wants to buy 6 million acres of. So no Zambian does get 6 million acres of land and start that farming project. Only a foreigner has to do that. We Zambians, we don't have brain to do that. This is what is annoying us to say.
That issue,
Enough
Madam
is
President.
enough. Yes. Yes.
And we'll touch on that issue a little bit more, Madam President. But a few days ago, the President held a press briefing on Monday to discuss matters affecting the nation in various aspects. What did you pick from that press briefing, owing to the fact that he touched on a number of issues, including what this government is doing to address the current load shedding crisis?
You know, it was rhetoric as me. For me, as usual, it was rhetoric. For me, what I think the president should be doing is when he holds a press briefing, he should bring subject matter experts to explain what is currently happening. He should open the press briefing, call the Minister of Energy to give a statement, call the Minister of Agriculture to give a statement. It's not about the president, it's a team. Now, when you want to do everything by yourself, you will fail. He needs to involve the subject experts, and then he needs to hold those people accountable. It was rhetoric. It was rhetoric because it is all talk, talk, talk. Promises, we are seeing nothing. The hunger situation is escalating in the country. Poverty levels are escalating. But we are getting speech after speech, and then we are getting this battering of PF. We are tired. We don't even want to hear them of PF because Lungu himself had retired. It is because you UPND are hounding Lungu. That's why he came back. We are not interested in Lungu, but now because of their lack of performance, we have gone back. Even myself, I'm a Ukame. Why is that? We are tired of rhetoric without results. To say it in simple terms, they have time. They can fix things, They gave away tax holidays. All that is money that can help to subsidize food for our people.
The president touched on, what this government is doing to address the issue of load shedding. I know that government critics have condemned this government that, they've been exporting power to neighboring countries. Just recently, we did hear from the Minister of Energy allude to the fact that about 100 watts were being exported to Namibia, about 60 watts to Botswana, and 40 megawatts to the Democratic Republic of Congo. But again, we heard a statement that about 100 megawatts rather have been recorded from being exported. What do you make of that particular intervention, especially owing to the fact that a lot of people have been calling on this government to, stop exporting power?
The really sad part about this whole situation in Zambia is don't value our people. This UPND government does not respect the Zambians. There is no way you can export power at the expense of your own people. Load shedding communities for more than 24 hours is killing people. Small scale entrepreneurs, how are they surviving? Abama baba, abama butchery, abama bakery, abama saluni. They are exporting to import. I heard also they are also going to import power from Tanzania. They should just shut it down. All these agreements that they have, there's a clause where they can actually, what is the word? They can nullify, or I don't know the word, chibafi cancer. Ngatafile bomba, if there is an emergency, they can always cancel these contracts to provide for their own people. No, but what is it? Munganda mobe, abana bobe tabakweta malaiti, but yabena South Africa, nabakwata malaiti. We have heard even people have died. Umwa itiale berengana kando, awo chenganda bashkuru bakwe bafo. That death is on this government. And they're all uncoordinated. One minister says this, the president says this. Do you even sit and discuss about these things before you come to the media? Really? Or you just come to show your face? And you think Zambians are not following through or are not scrutinizing what you're saying? This is a different generation. Politics in Zambia now is at a different level, because news is traveling in real time. You can't lie. Imagine you lie, you are fact checked. So those days have gone of playing ama politics. I have propaganda. They came to power on propaganda, and we know that. So now we check everything they say.
Madam President, in as much as you are saying the government can cancel, or there's what is referred to as a force majeure in a contract where the government can withdraw, what we've heard is there are repercussions to these things, and it's not as easy as it may seem on face value. So government completely stopping to export electricity is out of the question.
So I understand that. But the president himself, when he was in opposition, he gave an example of Dubai where there is no water, but there is no load shedding in Dubai. It is like a tourist capital of the world right now. Look at all those tall buildings in Dubai. How do they power those buildings? This is a plan that the president sold to Zambians when he was in opposition. Why can't he implement? When is he going to implement what he promised as Zambians? We know there is global warming, and this global warming has been talked about many years ago. So why are our governments not planning to put in measures of solar equipment, wind energy, and other forms of clean energy, instead of crying now that the Kariba Dam has dried, when you knew very well that global warming is coming? All the countries in the world, they are preparing. Right now, I'm in a country where we are up there in the North Pole, but they have solar panels. And
another issue. We heard the president say that Mamba Calories will start phase 2 of another 300 megawatts power plant after securing 90 million United States dollars shortfall from within the country. We also heard the president make a plea to companies selling solar products that government has zero rated tax on the product. What do you make of these revelations that were made by the head of state?
So to start with, Mamba Calories is not clean energy. Most of the countries in the world, they are shutting down anything to do with coal. It's a desperate measure. So would we rather subject ourselves to energy that is going to cause health issues than recall our power that we are exporting? So that one, again, I have a bone to chew. And then on the issue of this is solar power, the people who are selling solar power, they are telling our youth, work hard, work hard. But the people who are actually selling those solar things, they are UPND cadres. They are doing exactly what PF did. They are empowering themselves and their youths. UPND cadres are the ones who are selling these solar whatever panels, and they are importing. They are not even paying tax. So all they are making is profit. We are tired of this by UPND. News travels. Do the right thing according to your promises. Yes, thank you for importing that solar, but how many people can even afford the solar? When people can't even afford to put food on the table, people have to form groups to buy a bag of Millennium. Yeah? And then you think that family can go and install solar in their homes? Let us be real. Let's not mock people. We have to be realistic. 70, if I think if not 60%
Right.
of Zambians
Madam
live
President,
less than
before we
$2
open
a
our
day.
phone line, let's touch on another issue that you had earlier touched on. The proposed sale of 6 million hectares of land to arable land to a foreign investor, which has sparked controversy around the country. We have heard ZDA refute these claims and say that there is no selling of 6 million hectares of land to any foreign investor. What is your take on this issue and ZDA refuting these claims?
The story was reported in Zambia Daily Mail, and Zambia Daily Mail is a state agency. So I don't know how Zambia Daily Mail can report fake news. So that's number one. Number two, our land is our birthright. This land was left by our ancestors. Some of us live in foreign lands. They can't even sell you 1 acre of land. Even if it's the house, if you buy a house, it's a mortgage for 30 years, chapwa. After 30 years, that's it. You own the house, that's it. 20 by 40 or whatever. Now, ichi chisere chakula vuka mambo kula chisha, Zambian land must stop. At the weekend, I went to tour somewhere and I saw a palace. And as I was walking around that palace, it has been built since 1300s. It has been standing. A palace has been standing for almost 1,000 years, and the bloodline of that family is still living in that palace. The people who were building that palace, they know they will die one day, but they want to set up their family for financial security, create generational wealth. No, but if you are even entertaining the idea of giving away somebody land, we know you have sold the land to Mpiko Pomasa and they go to Kuma Chinese. We know some land has been sold to Dubai for carbon whatever credits. When is this nonsense going to stop? When? Zambia, when? We need this land to be titled to our own sons and daughters, and let our sons and daughters partner with these investors. For heaven's sake, please, mukalete nkondo. These wars happening around the countries because of land. Our great grandchildren will fight to take these lands back. And these same people will produce papers to say we bought this land. Don't create problems for us. Twami papata. There is no smoke without fire. How did that man fly all the way from Vietnam? Mwawingi Shapa Airport. Actually, I hear he even lives in Zambia. He's got mining licenses and he's mining somewhere. Eh? And who put all the chiefs in one room? Who organized that? But ZDA, Zambians, we are not stupid. Who organized that meeting? Kuleta Shonse Mfumu in one room, only to deny us Shatwa Kushtishi. The only thing that saved us, because Zambia, every Zambian rose and spoke about it.
Right.
And
Speaking
I
of
aim
chiefs,
to all the
Madam
Zambians.
President, we've heard chiefs from Luapula province reject this proposed sale of the 6 million hectares of land. This, of course, was in revelations that were made by the Council of Chiefs chairperson, Chief Chisunka. What is your message to the chiefs of Luapula province, and also your take on them rejecting this proposal?
Letter myself, which the Luapula chiefs wrote, and this should be the action of every chief in Zambia. You are the custodians of our land left by our ancestors. We thank you as Zambians for the Luapula chiefs to do that. And now identify youths, let youths form cooperatives and give them this land and partner with these Vietnamese. We hear that Vietnamese is even broke. He is supposed to get a title and go borrow loan. So why can't that title be given to a Zambian cooperative? Awa na mwabachita empower, mwabapela title ya Congo Olympia, World Bank, wherever, but they get the millions. So thank you very much to the chiefs in Luapula. I am so humbled, because if this deal went through, we would be in problems. The Luapula community would be in problems.
To our phone line to also stress on the social as well as economic impact or consequences of, selling such a big, portion of land to a foreign investor? If at all this was to happen, what do you think the repercussions would be? I want you to stress solely on the social and as well as economic impact.
On the socio-economic impact would have been that man had a title to the land and will kick everyone off from the land. So where are they going to go? Economically, the people of Luapula, that's the land of their ancestors. Some people, they are living on those lands. So what are they going to do economically when you chase them out? Can you go to Vietnam and buy even 1 acre of land? Zambians, let's wake up. Let us wake up and protect our land and empower our Zambia will be built by Zambians. We should not even entertain that idea. I think such agencies like ZDA should even be abolished because their conditions are favoring Bamuisa than Ifofwebene. Panopondi, I can't even buy a land. I can't even buy a piece of land, and people are even questioning me. How can you be a president when you don't live in Zambia? But this government empowers giving mines to people who don't even live in Zambia.
All right.
We are not going to tolerate this.
Right. Madam President, it's time for us to get to our phone line so that we get interacting with our viewers this evening. 077081378. The number is right there at the bottom of your screen. This evening, we are hosting President Situmbeko Phumulo. Hello, good evening. Your name and where you're calling us from? Good evening, Mr. Mpande. Thank you for joining us. Please go ahead with your contribution. Mm-hmm.
We are sharing the Kariba Bank with. They go up to 3-4 days without power. And here in Zambia, there is no part of this country that has gone up to a week without power, up to 3 days without. So she has to know that as she's explaining whatever she's explaining there. Issue that she's talked about of the land that she's arranging to say has been sold. That land has not been sold, and the land in this country is in the hand of the president. The chief can only give land up to a certain percentage, and that huge chunks of land requires the president to authorize. And in case she's not aware, when he attended the funeral, the memorial of Dr. Kaunda, he said, I'm not going to authorize any sale of huge chunks of land in this country, in case she's not aware.
Thank you, Mr.
And who is
Mpande.
going to sell that land if the president said no? Let's stop politicking where politics are not needed. Finally, let me talk about the
20
issue of
seconds,
Rungu that she
Mr.
brought
Mpande.
in. She talked about the issue of Rungu, the UP are bringing. We are not afraid of as UP. Edgar Rungu, we wired him with 1 million votes. So how can we be scared of the president? So let's be factual as we are bringing these political issues, because sometimes you end up misleading instead of misleading people. You think.
Thank you, Mr. Mpande. We'll squeeze in another call before President Phumulo can respond. Hello, good evening. Weshenko volume Mukwai. Please always ensure that I reduce the volume as you come through so that we can hear you clearly. The number is right there at the bottom of the screen, 07708137828. Hello, you're through. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Hello.
Good evening. Your name?
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Mr. Banda calling from Katete.
Mr. Banda, please go ahead.
Good evening, madam. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Go ahead, Mr. Banda. We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I think whatever is happening in the country, it's very unfortunate. Sometimes when you sit down, instead of feeling sorry for ourselves, you start laughing. But is this really us who have at this point? What President Pomolo is saying is very true. It's unfortunate that UPND has failed so early, very early. We did not expect that. I myself expected that EHH cannot perform, but not to this magnitude. It's just too much. So we can say a lot of things. Numerous when you talk of democracy, talk of service delivery, you talk of everything, cost of living, you talk of inflation, you talk of everything, you talk of exchange rate, everything is failing. So we don't even know really where you can say we have the president who is performing, except the usual rhetoric. When he appears, rhetoric, stories, lecturing and so forth, which are taking us nowhere.
Thank you, Mr. Banda.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Banda, for your contribution this evening. We squeeze in another one before we can give a chance to President Situmbeko to respond to your questions and contributions. Let's squeeze in another call before President Situmbeko can respond. 07708133728 is the number that you're getting in touch with us on. Just ensure that you reduce the volume on your TV when you come through. Remember that you can also go live to our Facebook page and drop a comment there. Hello, good evening. Good evening, sir. Your name? Very well, thank you. Your name and where you're calling us from? Mr. Chima, please go ahead. Right. Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Chima, for that contribution. 07778 is the number that gets you to the program this evening. We're discussing democracy and the opposition. Joining by video from California this evening, Madam President Situmbeko Pumulo. We are discussing democracy and the opposition. Hello, good evening. Good evening.
Pasista Mabondeni.
Twabomba fe wino mkwai badishana bena.
Awo wino President Pumulo Mabondeni.
I'm quite
iyi ne landi wa sister iyi ne landi twamfatu wali fokushitishira irandi. Ushaba abawonsa ama president abalipo abapitira bali fixed abayi mwene irandi ateko yaba nisho bayirekere. Nisho bayisungire landi latabakitisha. Badisho ko batukuri abana kusyabwa. Kuri abantu abalisa kuntanshu. Mamone bamdala masampo yali ayakale bali muri yala respika muri bakiro bafuti baya boisha futi twala ikarashani inkono mina abashupu na ibakango kontrola nomba twala ikarashani. Okay.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Chilufya. President Pumulo, I'll give you a chance to respond to that set of calls, and then we'll be able to open our phone lines again so that we can get more calls and from our viewers this evening. Your reaction to that set of calls?
So the callers were breaking. So especially the first one, I couldn't hear much of what he said. I don't know if you can repeat the question to me.
Out from you, if you are aware that as a country we are sharing electricity with Zimbabwe, and also that there's no land that has been sold. He was stressing on that point that there's no land that has been sold, and he was urging you to be factual as you give your analysis. And he also stressed on the fact that the current regime is not afraid of former President Edgar Lungu, so it is folly for the opposition to suggest that the current regime is afraid of President Lungu. So I think those are the issues that he raised.
Okay, so I'll start with the thing, the land issue. So the land issue, we are not talking about even the 6 million hectares. We are talking about in Luansha. If you follow the news, there are women. If local Zambians are, is it 200 acres of land are being grabbed by Chinese? So this is what we are saying. We say it's not only this 6 million everywhere. Some markets, they have been demolished and given to investors. And this is under this current government. So we as Zambians, we are crying to say, why can't we Zambians be given a priority to flourish in our own country? Marketeers, that's how they earn their living. If any area is like a central area, a foreigner has an eye on it, before you know it is demolished and reissued. This is what we are crying. I'll talk about we are sharing power with Zimbabwe, yes, but at the same time we are exporting. And my point is, why should we export to import? The president, when he came himself, he promised, he gave an example of Dubai where they don't rely on hydro. Why didn't he implement that? We are going 3 years of him in office. We are tired of lip service. And the other thing, that man sounded very angry. We don't want anger and bitterness. We are a democracy. Takusha kwamba muntu amba uya che wobola ulifaction no. Meko ndirijisira che kwamba opinion yangu. Mowa. So mutandi kutuyo yano kutegwa wonso muntu obola kwamba ula achincho yamba kwamba masibe. Me, I'm not a government official. So I speak from what is out there on social media, and it is a job of government official to give us the facts. That's how it works.
I'll open our phone line again so that we squeeze in our last set of calls this evening, 0770813728. We are hosting New Era Democratic Party leader, President Situmbeko Pumulo. You can call us on 0770813728. We're discussing democracy and the opposition. Be sure to call us that number. And you can also follow us live on Facebook. It's Millennium, Zambia, where we're streaming live. The number is right there at the bottom of your screen. Hello, good evening. Good evening. Hello, good evening. Call us back on 0770813728. That's the number right there at the bottom of the screen. You can ask a question or make a mere contribution this evening as we discuss democracy and the opposition. The number is right there at the bottom of the screen. Please ensure that you reduce the volume on your TV. That point cannot be overemphasized so that we do not get terrible feedback. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, senior citizen Mwangala. Please go ahead.
I would like to ask a few questions, but I can't because what it can say. When she comes back, please let us know. Danger when she comes back, that we really ask her question ground. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, senior citizen. Let's squeeze in more calls. 07708137. That's the number that gets you the program. This evening, we are hosting President Pumulo Situmbeko, New Era Democratic President. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. This is Mr. Chongwe calling from Matelo.
Mr. Chongwe, please go ahead.
Okay, this government, this UPNP government, Safaka Konzero, even the implementations of their programs, is a sign that they are a failed project already. These people we are hearing whether Mr. Mbande, none of which I can't talk about someone who has commented. But the fact is that UPND government is a failed government already, just within a period of there is nothing that they can point out to say at least they've improved the living standard of our people in this country. You know, when we talk of the issue of land, them instead of concentrating on giving land to the fellow Zambians so that they can do issues of farming, so that at least within the country people at least they've got something to do. Them their target is to impress their friends, the outsiders, the foreigners. We don't know what kind of thinking capacity this government have. They have no heart for the country. They have no heart for the citizens. No perfect way that this country will rely on mining sector, will rely on farming, but already when it comes to implement issues of farming, issues of mining sector, it's already a problem with this government. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chongwe. 077081372 is the number that gets you through the program. Evening, you can still come through. We'll squeeze in a few more calls before we close our phone line. The number is right there at the bottom of your screen. We're discussing democracy and the opposition, and my guest joining me from California via video this evening is New Era Democratic President Pumulo Situmbeko. 077081372. Or better still, you can also go to our Facebook page where we're streaming live as usual and leave a comment in the comment box, 077081728. As we wait for more calls, President Situmbeko, I ask you to respond to those two contributions. The first one was from Mr. Mwangalai. He said he can't ask you a question because you're in a foreign country. He urged us to let him know once you touch down so that he can ask you questions pertaining or happening on the ground, and I don't know if you have a reaction to that.
Yes, I do. I consider that a threat. You know, we are not going to be intimidated by anyone. Location is not a factor. When you are selling land to foreigners, location doesn't matter. So don't call here and start saying when I touch down. Please. That is intimidation, and I feel threatened by you saying that. And I will report you to the police station. Because life now is on social media, it's virtual. Okay? That's my response to that.
Mr. Chongwe also contributed, though he was agreeing with what you're saying, that this government is a failed project, and he alleges that this government's aim is just to impress foreigners.
It is true. It is written, the writing is on the wall. How many trips itself has the president taken in 3 years? Almost 200 international trips. The last trip he went to get a doctrine. For what? Yeah? And the other gentleman who talked that the president has not sold any land. What about Ngoma mine, which would say the largest copper mine or cobalt mine in Africa? It has been signed off to some investors. We are saying we don't want this. When is Zambia going to go forward? Zambia is so blessed with all these resources. Countries like Namibia, Botswana, there is no mining, there is no water. Dubai, there is no water, but they are prospering. They are tapping into the resources which they have. If we have everything, Zambia is blessed with over 40% of the freshwater bodies in the region. We can be a food basket. Why not buy tractors and deliver all tractors throughout Zambia instead of buying a Land Cruiser? When the same president was saying when it comes to power, nobody will buy a brand new Land Cruiser. Now look at all these government luxury vehicles, high-end, consuming I don't know how many liters of gas they consume per mile. We are tired. We want Zambians to be given the respect they deserve. And the respect, it means putting food on the table. As a parent, I have 3 children. And my goal when I had the children is these children should be better than me. And a goal of any government that comes is to leave the Zambians with a better quality of life than they found them, not impoverishing people. We are suffering with this poverty level if I could diaspora because some of us who are on social media, the whole Zambia has become our family. Madam Tumineni Kofi Kabunga, I'm not a rich woman. I wish I was a rich woman. We have family to support. You send them money, they can't even buy grocery from $100. Everything is so expensive. And the president cannot be humble enough to come to the people and ask for forgiveness and call all stakeholders. We go to the drawing board and say, how can we take our people out of poverty? How can we put food on the table? It's not about your ego or whatever. No, it is
Right.
about the 20 million lives that are there in Zambia suffering right now.
We're still picking your calls, dear viewer, on 0770813728. You can come through before we wind up the program, and you can also leave a comment in our comment box on Facebook, Millennium TV Zambia. Now, coming to you, Madam President, given the current political landscape, we do have a call before I can ask you that question. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. How are you, madam?
Very well, thank you. Your name, sir?
Oscar. I'm calling you from Choma.
Your name again?
Oscar.
Yes, sir, Oscar.
Yes. I wanted to make a more contribution. It's unfortunate that we can be discussing somebody who is somewhere very far, who has no reality on the ground, and there are sources of information. And you know what is correct? There's things that are correct, of course, which post some information is incorrect, and whatever she sees actually a basis of whatever she sees, purely based on social media. Maybe information which may not be correct at most of the time. So the best for her, if she wants to start checks and balances, she should come back home. Other than giving us information half baked. For example, over the months, that land was not sold. It was not sold. Even the one she was mentioning about something in Russia, that land was not sold. And these things actually have happened before, where some investors expresses an interest and the citizens rise up, and then the government says, well, let's do what is supposed to be in the interest of the nation. So let us not bring or discuss things that's based purely on social media.
Thank
so
you.
She should see things on the ground in the reality.
Thank you so much.
Otherwise,
thank you so much, Oscar, all the way from Choma, for your contribution. Let's see if we can squeeze in one or two before we close our phone line. 077728. This evening, we are joined by New Era Democratic Party leader, President Pumulo Situmbeko, joining us all the way from California via video. You can be a part of the conversation by coming through, or you can send us a message, or also leave a comment in our comment box on Facebook. It's Millennium TV Zambia. President Pumulo, your comment to Oscar, who is saying you have no reality on the ground and your source of information is purely based on social media.
It's actually laughable that he can say that, because I am the people who campaigned for UPND on social media. And when I was campaigning for them, they didn't tell me that I'm not in reality. We had a huge page, almost 500,000 followers on that page, which was deleted. Nobody from UPND told me, stop campaigning for UPND because you are on social media. So when the tables turn, I'm delusional, you know. So I'll leave you with that. It's like, you know what? You cannot be talking from both sides of the mouth. Chiwamina chani, chiwamina imwe. Elotwale mchira campaign, social media was okay. Now social media is fake. Shame on you. And
Right,
you telling me to the
07708.
same thing. The same thing I'm going to say about, coming on the ground. I campaigned for UPND for solid 2 years on social media. Nobody from UPND told me to come to the ground and campaign. So why are you telling me that?
I'll
And
cut you
I
there, Madam
said
President, so that we squeeze in another call. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Please, Weshenko volume TV mkwaishi na niko bale tumina.
Hello?
Hello, good evening, sir. Your name?
Mr. Banda again, sorry for coming back.
Yes, Mr. Branda.
Yes. I just want to encourage the President Pumulo as like the previous one. Sorry for mentioning his name, Oscar. Oscar should know that sorry for mentioning his name. I have apologized. He should know that it's actually the social media that ushered in Hakainde Hichilema in office. It's the people in diaspora that were campaigning for HH to get the vote. It was the social media. Social media took toll during 2021 elections, and it's the one that helped HH to be in State House today. Why should social media today be despised just because HH is president? Let them not start intimidating people just because their president has failed. Let them accept and come to terms that Hakainde Hichilema has failed. And they should not shut you people up.
Thank you, Mr. Banda.
That Hakainde Hichilema must go. He has failed in all areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Banda, for that contribution. Mr. Mpande, welcome back. You're through to the program.
Thank you so much, my sister. And I'm very happy that just trying by all means to attempt to answer our question. But let me also remind her, because there is something that I forgot to tell her, that the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Honorable Chipoka Mulenga, in the News Digger, is quoted to have rejected that particular project of the land that she's talking about. So when we say some of these things, they are brought from people who don't mean well. This is exactly what we mean. So that project is non-existent as far as the government officials are concerned. So I don't know who is going to authorize that thing, if at all it will be authorized. Because from where I stand, the president has distanced himself. The ministers has distanced himself. So who is going to authorize that thing? So that thing is non-existent. And finally, when it comes to people that are talking about the cost of living, where she is, the cost of living is too high. Why is she just talking about here when she?
Thank you.
Where she is, the cost of living is way too higher than here. So as we are making these comparisons, let's make comparisons even from where she is, so that we see to say she's genuinely comparing cost of living on a genuine platform. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mpande. We squeeze in one more call before we close our phone line. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Please reduce the volume. Hello? Hello, you're through to the program. Your name? Good evening, your name?
From Mazabuka.
Ababweshe ku volume ku Mazabuka okwo mukwai. Tulifye bwino mukwai katwishibe nanga badishani. Your name? Ishirat wa nani? Zina atbanda? Atwan Shan? Munene. Okay, please go ahead. Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Munene. Hello, Mr. Munene, we can hear you. Please go ahead. Right, we seem to have lost Mr. Munene. Yes, atwana nishina kumufuliroko. Mkaiba mwali. Thank you. Totera mkwaiba mwale. That's our last caller for this evening. Thank you so much to everybody that came through. We value your worship and participation in the program. But in the meantime, we urge our dear viewer to follow through the program live on Facebook, even as we come to a close. Madam President, back to you. Your comment on that set of calls that we just received.
So I would like to respond to the comment that those deals did not go through. Exactly. But the deals did not go through. So my point is, why are we even entertaining it? You know, why are we even facilitating bringing all the chiefs together in one room? And mwina tukata pakanwa tulijisi freedom of speech. And now injintu yajitira ngatwambaula. We can talk about things. You can't stop us from talking. That's your problem. Mlefo mle tuikata pakanwa. Ati yo ifyo mwina alanda pota bafisuminishe. Tuakula alanda. Now this is politics in opposition, so that you don't even try to do it again. On the comment about me where I am, the cost of living is high. Yes, it is high, but don't even compare Zambia to where I am. Because where I am, they have minimum wage, they have food stamps for people, they have subsidizing people. That's why I formed a new era to take care of those marginalized. Because in Zambia, people get 500 a month. How can someone survive? You know, where I am, they care for those who have nothing, the widows, the disabled. Wheelchairs, we saw, is it Fashion Sakala was donating wheelchairs. All the buildings that are in these countries, they consider everybody and accommodate everybody and provide for the less privileged. Number in to go and work. Tumambe kuisa. Cooperative. Tell me which one cooperative has been funded. Apart from this one iso. This one iso tabamu ni kwa Mungu abamu lati this one iso mayouth kwa Mungu. Ni wabatile ni kumunyisa na ile kwa Mungu kwale. Cause yanaona ni license ya maini mayouth bahaye kwale kwa haya abanama they are struggling kwa Mungu kwale. One of the most impoverished provinces in the country.
Right.
If you read about the history of Western Province.
Even as we come to a close.
So let us not sugarcoat things here. Yes.
Even as we come to a close, Madam President, just run us through briefly your priorities as a party, even as we approach 2026.
So our priorities as a party is to mobilize the marginalized. We want everyone to identify a seat in your area, either member of parliament, a councillor, or chairman, you will be adopted. As long as you are popular in your area, contact me. I'm on Facebook. My name is Queen Pumi. Follow me on Facebook. Inbox me. My information is public because I'm now a politician. So we want all of us, ordinary people, to form government and take away this UPND government. There are people who have been in members of parliament 30 years. They can't even grade their road to their village. Ndali ubona road yunka ujigakata. Ujigakata uya kutwari unka. Kundako menena. The road was better 40 years ago when I was a young girl. Up to now, Jirabari which grade road yunka ujigakata. A major hospital there. So my message is Vasa, Gwonsebena Zambia, Saleni, 6 member of parliament, just identify a seat. Me, I am going to stand it. Kumazapuka, that's where I'm going to stand. Because I'm a member of UKA. So UKA, I will support whatever president is elected on UKA. But I am going to parliament. If God allows me, I am running in Mazabuka. So all of us, in Zambia, we will not be asking money from you. What we are asking from is patriotism. Stand as a ward councillor, chairman, member of parliament. If you are popular in your area, you are going to be adopted. The only requirement will be NRC and the legal qualifications to qualify for these positions, not how much money you have in your bank account. That will not be a factor. Because when you go to parliament, you make decisions and empower people in your local community. This is what our major plan is
Right.
to have as many people as possible in Amanda Hill.
Thank you so much, Madam President, for sharing your insights on democracy and the opposition. Thank you so much. Right. That's our show for tonight, dear viewer. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you for watching. And we know that our phone is still buzzing, but be sure to join us tomorrow for another edition of Millennium Tonight as we host the Leadership Movement Party. I've been your host, Given Banda. It's goodbye and continue watching Millennium.
Sela kuno ngumwenzeko kafe